Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. We want to welcome you to another episode of Sedat HR Digest. And this episode promises to be exciting. Before I introduce our guest to you, I'd like you to know that Sedat HR Digest is brought to us by Sedat HR Consult. Contact us for all your people issues, and we will be there to support you and help you. And supported by FA Impressions, you can contact us on 0243 526781, 0243 526781 for all your branding and printing issues. Today's topic is one that is very dear to me personally, because I believe very much that relationships are very, very, very important. And so today we'll be looking at managing the employer-employee relationship. We want to say a very big thank you to all our subscribers on all our social media handles, YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn. If you haven't subscribed to any of our social media handles, please do so and learn a lot. We are discussing interesting topics that helps to build a better organization. And if you are here, please let us know. We would acknowledge you. I can see Ahmed. Thank you, Ahmed. I can see Abna. Abna, you are welcome to today's episode. My guest today is one fine gentleman that I have always, anytime I see his name or his artwork, somewhere, I like, Charlie, this man, I wish to meet him one day. And today we are privileged to have him on HR Digest. Our topic, we're going to look at it from the CEO's perspective. Our guest holds a BA in economics. He's a chartered banker and also a chartered financial and investment analyst. He holds an MBA in strategic management and consulting. He is the CEO of Jane's Savings and Loans. Charlie, the way the economy is very is treating us. If you need any loan to support yourself, or you want any place to save or make an investment, you can get in touch with them. I'm sure they are going to help you out. His leadership style is one of the servant leadership style, and he has 13 years of experience in his field of study. His lifetime achievement is that he rose to be the branch manager within 2 years after national service in the banking sector, specifically Bank of Africa, and has started and has sustainably grown Jane Savings and Loans Limited. Today, we are privileged to have with us Mr. Yusif Abubakari, the CEO of Jane Savings and Loans Limited. Yusif, you are welcome.
Thank you, Patience. Thank you very much for the opportunity. You are very kind with your kind
It's an
words.
honor to have
I
you
don't
and
know
to
if
host
I am
today's
stable
discussion.
and if you can hear me. Am I clear? Can you hear me, please?
Yes, I can hear you.
Hello?
Yeah, hello, Yusuf, we can hear you.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much for having me. Yes.
You're
Thanks for
welcome.
having me and all your viewers and listeners, wherever they may be.
You're welcome, Yusuf. So today we are looking at managing the employer-employee relationship from the CEO's perspective. And so we want to hear from you what is meant by the employer and employee relationship. What is meant by the employer and employee relationship?
All right. Thank you very much. The employer employee relationship is first defined by law. Um, Before when you recruit somebody, you give the person a contract, and that contract defines what the relationship is. And most often than not, almost all the time, the relationship is that of mutual respect, underlining a professional relationship. So if you ask me what the employer-employee relationship is, I'll say it is legally binding relationship. It's first set up by legalities in the contract that you give to your employee or the contract that the employee gets from the employer. But then at the end of the day, it is underlined with mutual respect of rights and responsibilities. Thank you.
Thank you, Yusuf. So we want to know um, why is it important for us to manage and build this relationship, the relationship between the employer and the employee? Why is it important for us to manage it well?
All right, thank you. So, in this particular discussion, I'm going to try as much as possible not to be theoretical. A lot of the people on this call, I'm sure, have read all the HR theories on leadership styles, on the kind of relationship that exists at the workplace. But then I underline the relationship definition with the fact that it is born out of a legality for a reason. Because though the institution that has been established is set up for a specific goal, and the institution goes to employ these workers to come and work for them, it is also important for the employer to understand that the growth of his institution rests on the shoulders of the employees. So it is therefore very important that this relationship is developed over the period so that the people who are supposed to carry the business to the stages that you, the employer, envision are comfortable, are happy doing their work, and they find themselves in an environment that they can freely bring the best out of them. So, this is why it is very important to grow it. The employer has an objective, which is mostly to develop the business, grow it from one stage to the other, to realize the dream that he or she has set for he or herself, him or herself. But then the employee also has a career development goal. The employee wants to grow. The employee wants the best for him or herself, wants to enjoy life also, and one day even become an employer him or herself. So it is very important to develop this relationship so that each party in the relationship is motivated to give their best to realize that common objective.
It is very important to manage this relationship so that each party will realize their objective. We want to welcome Michael. Michael is watching us from Cape Coast. You are welcome, Michael. Zachary, you are welcome. I can see Joyce. Welcome to Sedat HR Digest. Now, Yusif, apart from knowing what the employer and the employee relationship is and how important it is, we also want to find out what methods or strategies can be used to better manage this relationship.
Okay, all right, thank you very much. I believe this is the most important part of this discussion. The relationship has been established by law. For example, if I am employing somebody to work in my company, that person has a contract backing it. But then that is not enough for that goal realization. So I'll look at the strategy from from two sides, the side of the employer and then the side of the employee. From the employer's perspective, you want your business to do well. You want your employees to give their best. You want them to be able to think outside the box. You want them to see and fill the gaps that you yourself don't even see. You want your employees to be change managers, people who are striving to drive change. How do you achieve this? As I said earlier, you've read theories about styles of leadership. That there is a autocratic style of leadership, there is the democratic style of leadership, there's the laissez-faire, there is the change leader. There's so many definitions that people give out there about leadership. But then the most important thing you have to, or the take home I want us to take as employers here, is that you can never identify yourself with just one style of leadership as a strategy to ensure you are getting the best out of your employees. You cannot do that. If every situation calls for a particular style of leadership. So, in terms of strategy, I always say that let whatever style of leadership you are going to adopt be underlined by fairness as a strategy. No discrimination. Don't give people undue advantage over others in terms of career progression. Make sure that before you demand from people, you have equipped them to be able to deliver. So as an employer, you cannot be asking your staff to perform certain tasks when you've not properly trained them, when you've not provided the resources they will need to perform those tasks, but then expect that out of magic, it will happen. It doesn't work that way. So the first thing you do is assess the needs, the requirements that will make the employee deliver on the task you've given him or her, and make sure that you have provided them. Now, once you've provided what they need, the minimum they need to be able to perform, you then tell them specifically what your objectives are. A lot of employers ignore this part. They just get a graphic designer or somebody to design and write mission statement and vision statement as if they are just mere requirements for the business. But the vision and mission statements are the pictures that are on your mind, what you foresee your business to become. And if you don't explain this to your employees, the employees would in no way get into your mind and know how you want things to be done or where you want to take the business. So all the time, you are supposed to make sure that you've clearly defined the objectives of the business so that it underpins the relationship you have with the employees. So the definition of your objective, where we are going, is also the next very important thing an employer is supposed to do so that the employees know what exactly is expected of them. Also, the employer is supposed to give reasonable compensation. people often say money is not everything and all. Yes, it is true that employees will be encouraged by career opportunities, they will be encouraged by learning opportunities and all. But then the employee also has family. The employee also has to live. The employee must survive on something. So you must make sure that whatever goals, targets, work requirements you are setting for the employee, you have made adequate compensation available so that the employee, in terms of financial considerations, knows that for what I am giving, I am also adequately being compensated for that. Now, let me shift for the sake of time to the side of the employee. An employee is also supposed to hello.
Yes, Yusif.
Am I on, please?
Yes, you are on, but we lost you when you were going to talk about, you were moving to the side of the employee. So if you can take it from that side.
Okay, thank you. Because I noticed the connection being slow. All right. So on the side of the employee is also supposed to set their own objectives. And my employees will tell you anytime they walk into my office and I'm having a conversation with them, I ask them that simple question: where do you want to go from here? What do you do want to do from here? If you, the employee, you do not have a specific objective in terms of the career you've chosen, it becomes very difficult to even manage the relationship you have with your employer because you are not motivated by anything that is in it, anything that pushes you to give your best. So if you don't, you think I just need to get up in the morning, take a shower, go and sit there, close, and come back home, it will definitely affect your output. The employer will then see that I am not getting the right value for the money I am spending on this employee. So every employee must set a goal for themselves and make sure that their goal is in line with the growth of the business. Your goal is in line with the growth of the business. So, for example, you can be in a banking sector as an employee, and your ultimate aim is to become, say, a photographer, whilst the employer is spending money taking you on educational trips, taking you on trainings, hoping that in 2, 3 years' time, you are going to rise into a managerial position so that you can give back to the business. But then, in your own plans, in 2 years' time, you are going to become a photographer. Once the interest is not there, your objective as to what you want to do in the future is not clearly defined. It shows in your output. You become very lackadaisical on the job, and it makes it very difficult to establish that connect. The employee also need to know one thing: how to manage the employer in terms of the relationship. We are all human beings, and therefore you will not find the person in the best of moods, most receptive moods or time frame at every point in time. There are some times that your employer is going through clear difficulties. There are challenges economically, there are financial difficulties. The employer is struggling to even meet your basic salary payments. And that is the time that the employees say, no, if you don't increase our benefits to this so high a level, we will not be able to give you anything back. Once you pin people to the wall, their natural instinct is to react negatively. I mean, to oppose that pressure. And therefore, employees are supposed to be able to manage that relationship by getting to know what the employer is also experiencing at every point in time. In terms of even the one-on-one relationship building, say an MD and then the staff, say an officer, when you are even going to your MD to demand or make a request, it is very important that you look at the timing. the mood, the environment, so that your request can go at a time that a person can have a very good listening ear to listen to exactly what you're saying. You know, your MD has a board meeting tomorrow. Everybody is rushing up and down to put the meeting together. And then you just walk into the office and want to discuss some personal issue that could have waited. The reception you will get in that moment will definitely not be same as if you had made sure that he's done with his board meeting, he's stable, in a good condition, then you make that request. So this relationship, the strategies are multifaceted. You cannot adopt just one style of leadership to manage your employees. Likewise, employees cannot just hold on to their contract and make demands on the employer. You need to look at the state of the institution, what the institution can be able to afford at the moment, what they can do, so that you strike a balance. It is very important to find the balance.
Thank you, Yusif. It is very important to find the balance. If you have any question, please post it in the comment section. I will read it out for Yusif to respond to the questions. If you have any question, please post it in the comment section. Ashan, you are welcome. Marian, you are welcome. I can see Hannah, thank you for joining. Senor, thank you for joining. And then I can see, is it Madu? This name, but please let me pronounce your last name. Forgive me if I didn't pronounce it well. It looks very long, but I can pronounce the Mount. Mount, thank you for joining us. Thank you. We want to look at the role that HRs can play in managing this relationship. But before we go into details, we want to take a short break, and when we come back, Yusuf would tell us or talk to us or give us the strategies that as HR people we can support with to build this relationship. Hello, welcome back from the break. We've been discussing on how to manage the employer-employee relationship, and our guest today is the CEO of Jane Savings and Loans Limited. We've looked at why is it important to manage the employer-employee relationship? What does it mean to have this relationship? The strategies or some of the strategies to put in place to manage this relationship. And before we went on the break, we said that when we come back, we're going to look at the roles that HRs can play in managing this relationship, the roles that HRs can play in managing this relationship. So, Yusuf, what are some of the things or some of the strategies that HRs can adopt to help build this relationship?
All right, thank you very much, and to everybody online. Um, the HR department of every institution is the middle belt of that upper management and then the lower staff in the institution. An employee who is an officer at an officer in an institution may not have the confidence, may not have the courage to go directly to assess the leadership, even if they are running an open door policy of leadership where they encourage people to come. It's not natural. A lot of us were not brought up in that kind of environment where you can just walk up to your father or even somebody in authority to tell them open-heartedly what is on your mind. A lot of people were not brought up that way. So HR department serves as the medium through which the officers can all make their sentiments heard, because you would have an HR officer who is supposed to have that direct contact with every employee, so that the employees can be able to tell them exactly what their needs are. The HR also has direct access to senior management and the leadership of the institution, i.e., the employer. The HR is therefore supposed to be able to collate and gather information on staff sentiments, on staff about mostly working condition, the environment, the health situation, sanitation. A lot of times people only think that the HR are supposed to concentrate on monetary benefits. But I have had instances where a teller was just complaining about a chair that has been provided. The institution thought this is a brand new chair, we just bought it. But then the teller says that based on my height and my body posture, the elevation of this chair gives me severe back pain. It will be difficult for the teller to just walk straight into the office of the managing director to say, MD, please change my chair because it gives me backache. The teller should be able to feel free to direct this to the immediate supervisor. If the immediate supervisor is not doing anything about it, be able to go to the HR. So HRs are supposed to be readily available, open door to employees, so that no matter the complaints or the challenge that the employee is going through, the employee will feel free to be able to tell the HR officers, so that they can then gather, based on policy, based on legal regime, give the officers an advice, so that the HR can also carry it up. A lot of times, there are even some abuses that are very, very dire. For our females mostly, sexual abuses are very common at the workplace. An officer may be suffering in this regard, but may lack the courage. Sometimes it's even a superior officer. If the HR is not seen to be one that has an open door, that is receptive, that a person can confidently trust that I can call my HR and place this report and trust that action will be taken, then you will have employees leaving the institution, you will have employees taking legal action against the institution, and that will ruin the whole reputation of that institution. Also, senior management may come up with policies and directives that they need to descend to everybody in the institution. The HR is also supposed to help ensure that policies that are going down in terms of HR policies are explained and well presented to the general employee body, so that they would appreciate the point of view of management in trying to handle whatever situation that necessitated that policy. So the HR is very important in this relationship building by playing the role of a middle person who is always listening to both sides and making sure that they situate it within law and policy. It is very important that we do not lose sight of the fact that every institution is regulated by some policy and some legal regime. So you should always situate your work within your policy and then the legal regime. So this is how HRs can actually play that role of building this relationship, so that at every point in time, management knows exactly, or the employer knows exactly what the employees are looking for, what their sentiments are, what their expectations are, and the employees also know exactly what the employer's sentiments are, what the employer's expectations are. Thank you.
Thank you, Yusuf. HRs play a middle role in this relationship, and we must always ensure that as HR people, we situate what we do in the law and as well as in our policies. Thank you, Yusuf. I'm enjoying the discussion. I wish we won't end today's episode. If you have any comments, please or any question, please post it in the comment section. I'll read it out for Yusuf and he would answer you. We are discussing on how to manage the employer-employee relationship with Yusif Abubakari, the CEO of Jane Savings and Loans Limited. And Sedat HR Digest is brought to you by Sedat Consult. Contact us for all your people needs and supported by FA Impressions. You can contact us for all your branding and printing needs on 0243 526781. 0243 526781. Now, Yusuf, we want to know, having said all this, I mean, the relationship, the strategies, the roles that HR people must play in supporting to build this relationship, what are the benefits of a good and healthy relationship? What are the benefits? What do we stand to get as employers? What do we stand to get as employees if the relationship between both of us are cordial? And a good one, of course.
Sure. Thank you. Um, I set the premise that the relationship is geared towards a common goal, and that is why it is called a professional relationship. So, the employer employee relationship is a professional one and therefore has a common goal. The goal is on the side of the employer for the business to grow, be sustainable, be profitable, so that it will continue to exist as a going concern. To the employee, the goal mostly is to be well compensated for what you are putting into the business, is to have career development opportunities, is to have very solid experiences, is to have very, very solid professional experiences that even in the future, if you intend to go start your own business, you can ride on the back of. So when this relationship is healthy, there is common goal. The goals become congruent. They meet at a common point. So I, the employee, know that I need to give my best so that my company or my business would get to the top, so they can properly compensate me, so they can properly train me, so that I will have a very good working environment and peace of mind. The employer too knows that when he gives his best, hello,
Hi, Yusuf.
patience, am I on?
Yeah, you are on. We lost you briefly.
Okay, sorry, I saw the internet go off. So once the employer also knows that if this relationship is cordial and it's positive, my business gets to grow, the business becomes profitable, my employees are showing ownership of the business. Therefore, I do not have to always go to sleep thinking about what someone is doing that will bring this business down, because we all understand that common goal. So once we build this relationship and it is healthy, the ultimate goal, which is to ensure growth of the business and sustainability, will be realized. The goal on the part of the employee, which is to ensure growth in your career path, to ensure proper compensation, would also be realized. So it leads to the realization of these common goals that we all agree are important to us as individuals.
Right. Thank you. Thank you. Thank
You're
you,
welcome.
Yusuf. Michael says this is excellent presentation. Good job at Yusuf. Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Michael. So, Yusuf, we want to understand now from the CEO's perspective. All right, so there's a question here. Let me take the question, and then I can move to our next the question I want to ask you. So Senior is saying, Yusuf X. Okay, so Yusuf explains the strategic role of the HRs in aligning between the employee and the employer. Where an employee feels intimidated by the HR and they have concerns, where do they channel it to?
Okay. All right. So thank you, Senor. It's a very real question. I've experienced this. I've had people say this HR person lacks discretion. This HR person, you can't trust them because whatever information you discuss with them in confidence, the next day the information is out there. This HR person is vindictive. I'm a top performer. My appraisals are all top notch. But then anytime it goes there, they find something to malign me. I've heard this. Okay, so Senor, it is real and it can happen. But this is what you do. The HR is a department that is supposed to provide support to your human resource needs. The HR most often is not the final decision making body. I have had instances where my own personal appraisals went to the HR. They did the consistency C check committee, or what a lot of HRs call the post appraisal assessment, to
Your
indicate whether
consistency check.
yes, you are, whatever your supervisor gave you is truly what you deserve. And they came back with a reduction. And I felt no, this seemed to be out of the norm because everything indicator indicated on the sheet, I actually earned it. And the reduction didn't come with any explanation. What I did was do a memo, a justification of why I believe I deserve what was originally given, sent to the same HR, copied the superior, who at the time was, in terms of my line of business, the head of business development, and also copied the chairman of the consistency check committee. So what I'm trying to say is, when you feel the direct HR officers you are dealing with seem to lack the competency or the professionalism to deal with your unique situation, escalate. Escalate it, and don't let it be like you are going around behind somebody, you are hiding. If you have a clear conviction in terms of what you believe is happening to you or what your challenge is, escalate to the next level. Escalate to the next level. I go as high as the highest decision body in an institution when I feel that I am being victimized. Once the highest decision body still goes with what every other person has said, then you need to really look at your position. It is either what you feel your position is right may not be right, or may not be in line with the business's objectives, or may not be in line with the policy framework or the legal framework. A lot of times we are so convinced that we are right, but then we may not be right because whatever we are demanding falls outside the realm of our jurisdiction in terms of the policy framework, the legal framework, or what we were originally tasked to even do. So if you are feeling intimidated by your HR, escalate it to the highest level above HR so that you get your concerns addressed. And always indicate in your appraisal if you think HR is not, I encourage 360-degree appraisals. Appraise the HR as well. If you need to report the HR to the highest body, that I had this discussion with my HR officer and I heard a third party talk about it, a discussion I had in confidence. Therefore, they need to relook at the HR, and it will also go to affect their own assessment, and hopefully they will set up and change. Thank you.
Thank you, Yusuf. Escalate it if your HR is intimidating you. And for we the HRs here, we don't intimidate people. So we'll create the environment for you to have your issues resolved. Now, Yusuf, we want to know, what do CEOs like yourself expect from HR practitioners in the management of the employer and the employee relationship?
Okay. So, as a CEO, I have constant, I'm in constant touch with my HR officers, because that is where I get to know, I'm supposed to get to know whatever is happening with my employees. I'm not supposed to be calling employees one by one to ask what their concerns are. I expect that if my HR is doing her work or his work, my employees will be channeling their grievances through there. Then those that are real problems that need to get to my level that they cannot handle there comes to my level. So I always expect that the HR would give listening ear to the people. That is number one. A lot of times, some HRs, ill-trained or wherever acquired, feel that they are superior in, I don't know, whatever sense, to the employees. So you are following up on your leave, the HR lady is being rude. Your salary is delayed, you go to check and somebody is being rude. Your employment letter has mistakes on them, you are making demands, somebody is being rude. It comes from when people feel that the position of HR gives them some superiority over other employees. But I always tell people that the HR is a service job. You are supposed to serve everybody within the chain, that from the CEO to the least paid person on the payroll, that you, the HR, thing. And sometimes because they see people's pay, they apportion the respect according to how much you earn, But that is not what's supposed to be. HRs are supposed to play their role by being the mediator, carrying information from employees to the employer, carrying from the employer to the employees, coming up with strategic directions. I may be the CEO, but then I do not know what the people are saying. End of year, I say, oh, go and buy rice and buy oil and whatever and share. I don't expect my HR to just go and buy rice and share when the people are actually saying that, give us a gift voucher, let's go get our own stuff. I expect my HR to come and say, sir, this is what the people prefer. It is not just what I am saying you should do. I could be wrong in my decision. Whatever I have agreed, I've known for a while is what I will be saying you should do. But maybe this rice and oil thing is long gone and people are living in a modern era and I didn't even know. They maybe prefer even data bundles to giving them rice and oil. So, in a nutshell, the HR is supposed to be receptive, give a listening ear to the employees, give a listening ear to the employer, come up with policies, the strategies that will enhance that relationship. So they are not the judges. HRs are not the judges in this case. They are the mediators. Thank you.
HR is not the judge, but HR is the mediator. Yusuf, Senor says thank you. Senor
Thank
says
you,
thank
Senor.
you. Right. So all too soon our time is fast going. We want to acknowledge all our viewers for joining us. Thank you so much for coming. Sidat HR Digest is brought to you by Sidat Consult and supported by FA Impressions. Now, before we finally go, Yusuf, we want to take your final word.
Thank you very much, and thanks to everybody on the call. My final words are this: if we will take home that, I'll be happy. That for employers, there is no single style of leadership that will make your business top business. The leadership style you adopt is very much dependent on the situation you find yourself. So always be receptive, be accommodating, but be very clear in your demands of what you expect your employees to do. That way, they will be able to deliver according to the goals that you have set. To the employee, you cannot be working without objectives yourself. Set your own career objectives and make sure that the direction the business or your employer is going, it's going to enhance your own objective. If it's not going to enhance your own objective, the earlier you leave to pursue your own career objective, the better. You don't stay on, not give your best, and cause the employer will notice that your output is below par, and therefore will also at the end of the day not be compensating you well enough. So you will be two people in a boat sailing a certain direction that none of you desire to go. And at the end of the day, you all just going to sink. Thank you. So these are going to be my final words. And I thank you also for having me on this um, interesting discussion on HR, managing employee, and then the employer relationship.
Thank you, Yusif, for coming. We equally appreciate that the insightful details you've given us. Thank you so much. We want to say a very big thank you to all our viewers once again. Ohima says, great discussion. Thank you, Ohima. If you are here and you haven't subscribed to any of our social media handles, please do that right away. Do that right away. A lot of lessons there, a lot of discussions that's what help you build a good organization and to build that strong relationship you need to have with your employees. Trust me, this relationship is the core of everything we do. And like Yusuf has said, we need it. We need to keep it strong. We need to keep it healthy. Thank you for joining Sedat's HR Digest. It was brought to us by Sedat Consult and supported by FA Impressions. We will see you same day, same time next week for another interesting discussion. Please don't miss this and do share with your colleagues to join us. A lot of things are happening here, and as HR people, we need to share knowledge so we can all grow together. Please don't be an island and flourish alone. Help someone to also do better. Thank you, and we want to say we are very grateful. Yusuf, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you too
We
for
are
having
very
me.
grateful. Right.
Thank you.